Hi everyone, Dr. Kelli-an Lawrence here, welcoming you to this mini lecture about stage 1 of the health communication process. We've already learned about social marketing. We know social marketing can be part of a broader health initiative. We also know that social marketing can include communication campaigns. But social marketing is more than just the communication campaign. Social marketing can include changes to structures, systems, and environments, delivery of psychological and emotional support, dissemination of resources, community mobilization, policy advocacy, and so on. Even so, an effective communication campaign is often the heart of a successful social marketing campaign. That's why we're going to take a detailed look at communication campaigns. For a communication campaign to be successful, it must address the needs and values of a specific target audience. It must have clear expected outcomes, and it must reach the audience effectively and successfully. The process of health communication can be divided into 4 stages: planning, developing messages and materials, implementation, and evaluation. Over the remainder of the course, we'll review these stages, starting here with stage 1, planning. And just a quick note that might help you navigate through the readings. Be sure that you recognize that the stages are often comprised of a series of steps. Don't confuse stages with steps. So with that, let's look at the 7 steps that are involved in stage 1, planning health communication campaigns. Planning an effective health communication campaign includes the following 7 steps. Step 1, assess the health issue to build a comprehensive understanding of it and to identify all the components of a possible solution beyond just a communication campaign. Step 2, establish the expected outcomes, the objectives of the campaign. Step 3, define and develop an in-depth understanding of the target audience. Step 4, determine which communication channels and messages are best for reaching the audience. Step 5, identify potential partners. Step 6, develop a creative brief. And finally, step 7, draft an evaluation plan in preparation for assessing success of the campaign. In this mini lecture, we'll cover steps 1 to 3 of stage 1, planning a health communication campaign. In the follow-up mini lecture, we'll look at steps 4 to 7. So let's look at the first step in stage 1. Step 1, assess the health issue to build a comprehensive understanding of it and to identify all the components of a possible solution beyond just a communication campaign. The more you understand about the health issue of concern, the better you can plan a communication campaign that addresses it successfully. So, the first step when planning a communication campaign is to gather and review data. These data should describe the scope and severity of the health issue, who exactly it affects, what's being done about it, and what isn't being done about it, but should be being done. To gain this understanding, review all available data with the aim of describing the health issue, its prevalence, who is affected, including their demographic, psychographic, and behavioral characteristics, and finally, what the possible causes and solutions are for the health issue. As you look at the available data, identify existing activities and gaps. Explore what other organizations are doing to address the health issue. Find out whether the health issue is already being addressed and how well. And finally, consider whether you need to gather any new data, perhaps more up-to-date indicators of the health issue, its causes, and possible solutions. Based on all the data gathered and reviewed, you can identify all components of a solution and determine whether a communication campaign is appropriate. Keep in mind that the solution to the health issue might involve policy change and/or technology change in addition to a communication campaign. For example, a workplace might want to inspire employees to be more physically active. A communication campaign is implemented to encourage staff to take a refreshing walk at lunch or on their break. The problem is, if employees' breaks are too short, or if there's no safe places to walk, the employees can't make the desired behavior change. In that case, the solution requires new policies about break times and a new walking path structure in addition to the communication campaign. Now, before I move on to step 2 of the planning stage, I want to draw your attention to community health needs assessments and SWOT analyses. These are 2 ways to assess the health issue and identify all the components of a possible solution. Why and how to conduct a community health needs assessment and a SWOT analysis are detailed in your reading as part of step 1. There's also a mini lecture about community health needs assessments. Be sure you understand that these activities are associated with step 1 of the planning stage. And now on to step 2. In step 2 of the planning stage, you establish the expected outcomes, the objectives for the health communication campaign. Expected outcomes state what the communication campaign is expected to achieve in terms of improving the target audience's health or their environment. For example, you might expect the communication campaign to lead to a specific behavior change in the target audience. When planning a campaign, you establish expected outcomes because they indicate what should be measured to see if the campaign was successful. If expected outcomes aren't stated, there's no way to show if your campaign succeeded in doing what it was supposed to do. Because expected outcomes, objectives, express what the communication campaign is supposed to achieve, they should always be specific to the behavior that needs to be changed, the target audience to be affected, and the time during which the change should occur, usually the time frame for the campaign. Additionally, expected outcomes should always be reasonable and realistic, measurable, and prioritized. The reading provides lots of details about the notion of reasonable and realistic, so please read that material carefully. But let me offer one last takeaway comment about the first bullet. When we say expected outcomes are specific to the change that's desired, the target audience, and the time period for change, here's an example of what we mean. An objective for a communication campaign might be that people will choose healthier snack options more often. The desired behavior is choosing a healthier snack more often. Our specific target audience might be students in the cafeteria. And the time period for the change might be by the end of the campaign. Overall, then, our expected outcome would be this. By the end of the campaign, students in the campus cafeteria will choose a healthy snack more often. This is a standard way to write an expected outcome, so please make sure you know this. It could be helpful on the first exam. Okay, so now we'll move on to the third step of planning a health communication campaign. In step 3, you define and develop an in-depth understanding of the target audience. To do this, you first establish the larger population that the communication campaign is intended to reach, and then you segment that larger population into smaller target audiences. Segmentation of the population into target audiences is usually based on characteristics relevant to the health issue. These include demographics, geographic region, psychographic characteristics such as attitudes, values, social norms, political and social capital, and perhaps most importantly, patterns of behavior related to the health issue. Notice that segmentation usually results in more than one possible target audience. Due to financial, staffing, or time constraints, though, it's rarely feasible to deliver campaigns to all the possible target audiences. This means that one must be selected as the target audience. The TAR-PAIR method, covered in earlier lessons about social marketing, can be used to choose a target audience that has the most ability and the most willingness to make a behavior change. Overall, selection of the target audience needs to be considered very carefully because it affects the entire success of the campaign. If you can't remember what the TAR-PAIR method is, go back and read about it, and be sure to do the readings about it for this lesson. Okay? And there's a lot more to step 3 of the planning stage than what I covered here. These mini lectures are never a substitute for the actual reading. And with that in mind, let me say, even though this mini lecture might have seemed pretty long, please recognize that I truly skimmed the surface of the reading. I did not go in depth. It's really important for you to do the reading yourself. It's very straightforward and easy to understand once you get into it. Don't depend just on this mini lecture for your education. And that's it. Hey, I know it's not always easy being a student. Be kind to yourself whenever you can. And please do keep in mind that you can reach out to me at any time. I will always do my best to help you out, whether in answering a question about the course or discussing life in general. So that's it. Have a great day, have a great night, have a great week. Bye for now.